Hello everyone, MDio here, and welcome to my Let's Play test world. There isn't a whole lot here. I tend to do a lot of things in-game, on camera, and as a mod developer I have my own test worlds for mod things. But I like to come here every once in a while to test mods that exist already that I want to play with, or I'm thinking about adding to Magic Maiden. And I just want to go test them, see how they work, see what they do, and it's a good place to come here for concepts too. Like, I don't have all of the code and everything in the way, so I can just come here and build a couple things, try and see if it's any good for looking at. I'm a very visual person. I like to see things as they happen. I like to have my spinny things spin, and I want my windmills to go round and round. So today I want to talk about a lot of things involving game design and the concepts that I've been thinking about recently. I have decided on a way that I want to play the game, and that's to go wander around. And a lot of what I've been doing is to try and help with that. Now, the capsules here were the first testing that I did for that. I wanted to see if the capsules would let me pick up things and move them. And while they do, they don't quite work how I wanted. I mean, it will grab this whole block here, and this one will grab anything you want, but if you have any farms or any non-solid blocks, they're all going to pop off when you put them down, which makes them not all that useful. And with this just as it is, I'm really just picking up a thing, moving it, and putting it down. And with some of them, you can move huge amounts of area. Like this one, I was trying to see if it could pick up this entire tree here. It can. It's kind of laggy too, but that's beside the point. The thing is, this just isn't gamified enough. It's not compelling, it's not all that interesting, and while I do like flowers and mobile bases, I don't think this is exactly the approach I want. At least not like this. Not where we can just go grab a capsule, pick it up, and put it down somewhere else. Voila! I'm in creative mode. The thing about creative mode with these is that you copy them instead of putting them down. And then they tend to eat any blocks that you put them down on. But now I have flowers, and I had a bunch of water that I grabbed. It's really indiscriminate about what it does. It's not so much that I want a mobile base either. What I really want is I want to build a little base right here, and then I want to go over, say over here, and make a different base. But I want the things from that base to be accessible from here. Maybe some of the inventory storage, maybe some of the, like the power or whatever I happen to put there. Maybe I can teleport between each base, so I can go from point A to point B, and I can just go back and forth. Although that gets sort of annoying. I will admit that my last experience with that was I started moving everything from one base over to the other, and I started building over there, and I started duplicating things, which made me wonder if it would be okay to have a single place in between them that would store everything. So somebody pointed out a mod called Dimensional Doors. It's a really nice mod. You have a door, you have a really shiny thing, you go in the door, and there's a pocket dimension. As the world loads. And there's not really much in here. I mean, Fabric of Reality, it's really, really dark. You can build whatever you want in here up to a point. It's a really small dimension. I think the boundaries of it are... Oh, I started apparently ripping it apart. So you can actually pick up the blocks here. They're really dark. It's really crazy. Yeah, it's a square about this big. Let's see. And this is an interesting idea because I could start building my storage in here. And I could just walk around, and I have this much space. And if I really need more space, you can always make, you can always make another door. Dimensional door. And then you can make a pocket dimension inside a pocket dimension. And then you could have them come out anywhere, because you can have multiple areas come to the same place. I can put grass in here. I like this idea. It makes your base kind of accessible from anywhere. It makes it so that you can build a base, and then you could set up a door, and then just go inside it, and that's your base, or your storage, or your power network, or whatever it is. I started to think about other ideas for this. I started examining tech mods in general too, and I realized that a lot of them end up a lot like this. We have an array of machines with some sort of power generation and some sort of items that you put in, probably through pipes. Those hopper ducts are like nice for that. And you have all these things, and you make something at the end. Say you make a bunch of flowers. I don't know why it's flowers, it just is. These happen to be magic furnaces that generate flowers nearby them. Yes, yes. There's a couple problems with the way that a lot of tech mods are done, though. First of all, this, probably your entire endgame setup. They compress down so small, and they turn into something that you put so many resources into a single block that it's just not interesting to make another one. And if you're going to go set up another base, you should be able to set up this whole thing, again, without spending hours and hours and hours on it. Now, that said, part of the problem is that well, basically, they don't let you make more than one base. This is my entire base, and I'm never going to leave it, because, well, that's okay for some things. But if you want to go about and you want this available, there's no way to get at it. And you spent all this time and energy, you got dungeons to go explore, and your tool decides to break, so you need to go repair it. Oh wait, you need a complex structure to repair it, and you need like a whole giant thing over here. You need this to repair your armor. But you happen to be 50,000 blocks that way. Well, you could go in the dimensional door and build it in there. That would be okay. However, if you're going to try and rebuild this, like say you can't find another door, or you take out the mod, or you just lose the ability to get there, you're kind of screwed. And by screwed, I mean you really have to start over completely, and you just consider putting your things in a chest and dying and going back to spawn and never going back. So, and there are a couple other problems with this too. The way that you interact with these blocks, you probably have a big array of machines like this in some fashion, and you open up the GUI and you're like, I'm gonna go craft this thing into that other thing. Yeah, and there's 12 of them, so you don't have anything that you want to do. So, one of the things that I want to do is, I want to give people a reason not to interact with this. I also want to be able to have the whole setup available at a distance. And there's a lot of mods that just don't fit in the game anyway, so I started making a low-tech power. Although it's not really low-tech. Low-tech is like a spoon and a fork. This is like older technology. It's still technology that's used in certain parts of the world or for different purposes, like the windmills here. Besides, windmills look really nice, and they spin. I really like spinning things. Another problem that I saw is, if I have a magic pack, and I want to put some kind of power in there, how do you do that? I think the best solution for that is the same way that I did the rest of Tinker's, to make it so that it fits in every pack, in every context, and you don't even worry about it. I don't think anybody's going to complain about this in a magic world, because this is kind of magical. It spins. And I was thinking about how to get this 500,000 blocks that way, and you could take these, you hook them up to your gearbox, and down in the other one. Then you go into this. Not sure what to call this, but this is a block of ender, It's got a dynamo above it. I had absolutely no use for this before I made this thing. What you can do is you can set up this with this, and then you can go, say, over here. And then you have this. There's another one on the other end, maybe with some sort of coding or some sort of frequency that it's attached to. And this just lets you pull it up from over there. Now, this isn't really all that impressive of a range. I was thinking from here to that way. Literally that way. However far you went, it would be where it went. In fact, I wish I had set up a button ahead of time that would teleport me 100,000 blocks and just have this here. Anyway, I don't really want to interact with the world inside the machine. What I want to do is something like this. Take my oak wood and poof, poof. I'm chopping wood. Chopping lots of wood. This is still a prototype. That thing doesn't actually run on power. Although, if you do hook it up, it can get from here to there. I'm not sure how far I'm going to go with this, because I have other interests. There's another person who's helping with Tinker's construct named Pillbox, and Pillbox is the one who would be working heavily on mechanical power. I would probably be the one that makes it spin, makes it look fancy, and makes it do things. He would be the one that makes it all nice and gamified and logical and interesting to go from here to there. Because I would make that and this, and he would make the things in between. Now, another thing I was looking at is a lot of tech mods. You really compact everything into a tiny space, and I don't want that. I want to have a reason to put up large things all over the world. Like, literally take one of these windmills and go put it up over here, and put it up over there. Put it up pretty much everywhere that you could have one. And you could just make them as you go along. And they would all be accessible from wherever you were. It might require a bit more infrastructure, like this one. This one was actually kind of a mistake. I was trying to make a windmill that went up and just kind of ended up like that. It doesn't look too bad, but yeah, this is like the creeper, okay? Creeper was a mistake. But all you have to do is you set up one of these. This might be cheap. In fact, you get ender pearls and you pour them there, and yeah, that's it. You just put these up every so often, like on top of a mountain, and in the center of a valley, or wherever you happen to be. Maybe this could even be cheaper. Like, at the beginning it could be expensive, but as you progress through the game, you end up with a really cheap way to transfer power, and quickly at that. Another thing I was looking at was, there happens to be 4 windmills over here, and while these look okay, I want to discourage players from putting up multiple things in the same area. So even though there's 4 windmills here, they might only have 2 windmills worth of power. I would really discourage it that much. However, since these is over there, and this one is that far away, maybe there's no downside to that. You put one in between, however, and it's going to interfere with both of them. Whoa. Ow. One, yeah, get to that in a minute. So, I'm really designing a mod for an infinite world to have things on that infinite world. It never made sense to me to have everything that confines you to a single spot, like my base. This is my base. I'm never going to leave. Goodbye. I have beat the game now. Here. I have grass. That's no good. Oh, I've got glass. Wait. Planks for floor. Now I've got glass. Connected texture glass, no less. There we go. Put a roof on it. And I need a door. I got a door. I got a dimensional door. Close enough. I have beat the game. Let's put an actual door on it. This is beating the game. I mean, nothing's going to get in here. Creepers aren't going to attack you. You have nothing to do now. Yep, that's it. Nope, no more. Okay, enough of that. What is this? This is an inverted sky block and a fabric. Oh, these are odd blocks. This one's from open blocks, and it makes it so the sky renders. And this is from dimensional doors, and it makes it so nothing renders. I think there's another one. Green? Yeah, there's a green screen. And this one is really bright green. This one's probably for a recording video. This one's ugly. I'm going to take it down. Yeah, you could get this one or that. Well, not so much on that one. Yeah, this thing's really ugly. Get out of there. Okay, what else was I looking at? I put up a whole bunch of props around here so I could talk about them. And because there was a whole lot of things that I've been looking at recently. See, this is a house. I was testing a different mod that let you put up structures quickly. I think there's a duplicate of a house over there. And this one was interesting in that I could feed it a whole bunch of materials and it would put up this house in exactly this shape. However, it didn't play very well. I had to give it exactly the amount of resources that it wanted. And it was a magic block and you went whack, 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 and it magically went up. It wasn't gamified very well. I'd be more interested in taking another prop. Spawn. What of these can I spawn? Spawn imp. Yeah. No, that's gonna run away from me. Ed, magma cube, blaze, creeper, skeleton, spider, slime. Yeah, there we go. Give me my slime. Oh, I'm on peaceful. How about villagers? Villager. Give the jewels. Let's put it back on peaceful. So what you do is you have some minions. Now, I'm sure there's been a few mods that have done minions, but I haven't seen any minions that can help you build. So we have a whole bunch of minions here, and I need a chest. Let's say we give them a chest and a plan. This piece of paper will represent a plan. We'll put the chest, no, we'll put the paper in here, and all the villagers would go get the plan, put in some materials, and maybe you have to feed them, and you have to take care of them like you do yourself. Like, they need to heal, they need to sleep, they need to have a place to call their own. However, if you do all this, then you can help them help you. Help them help you, so they can build for you, go gather resources, go trade with you. They might be independent entities, so if you go attack one, these guys, you attack these guys and they don't like you anymore. Yeah. Nope, nope, none of that. Let's see. This is a workshop. A workshop is a collection of devices or blocks or just things that all fit together in the same area. And it's one of the concepts that I had early on. It's why there's a few tables. And all the tables kind of fit together. You got a part builder and this goes with this. This is actually a multi-block. People don't believe me when I say multi-blocks already exist in the game. There's a multi-block. Now it's not a multi-block. Now it is. Now it's not. This workshop is a multi-block. And the workshop is only a multi-block because it has multiple blocks in the whole area. And you'd probably want all of these. I don't know about the barrel. You definitely want a chest. You don't need a piston. And here, let's just put up a piston right here. One of the things I do like to do in test world like this is just kind of build and experiment with things. Okay, so we got a piston. And no, that looks bad. Never mind. Never mind. And so the workshop is one of the things I would like to expand on. It wouldn't necessarily be the same for everybody. As while this might be for me, somebody else might want to put up a whole different crafting area over here. Like, Thaumcraft has a good setup for this, where you have a large structure, and then you have all the requirements around it, and then you have all of the storage devices. You just have a big area here. The smeltery was kind of that way too, except it turned into a large structure all on its own, and that sort of became what defined the smeltery. What else? This was testing Steelworks. I think I may have ripped it out and put it back in and ripped it out at one point. I was trying to build the tank, and the tank, it was interesting, but I didn't have anything to put in it. There's not a lot of mods that have liquids, and Tinker's has a fair amount of liquids, but they don't stay in liquid form. You melt the iron down into liquid iron, and then you cast it into whatever you need right away. Ingots, or tool parts, or what have you. Maybe gears? Speaking of gears, this is a gearbox. It actually has a gear. It's a funny looking gear. I think it's a stone gear, actually. I need to retexture this to match the game better. There's an old picture from a Reddit post that has the inspiration for this system. Let's see, anything else in here? Oh. So I've been looking at different things to tinker with lately. I was thinking that we have the metals, we have the tools, we can tinker with the tools and make them interesting, and make them into something else. And there's a concept that I have that's called, like, there's tiers, ages. We have the age of wood, which is you get started, you get into the game, and you make your workshop. You make your crafting things, you go find your ores, you go get your farm set up. It's the age of wood. We have the age of metal after that, where we have the smeltery, and we have all of the metalworking, and we have the better tools, and we have the good modifiers, and probably the way to master that would be to get into more advanced metalworking, like Steelworks has de-alloying, and I was thinking about adding custom alloys. Really custom alloys that you could mix arbitrary metals and put them all together, and then you could have just a ingot or a metal that had some properties, some odd properties. It probably needs to be a more specific structure than the smeltery for that. However, it should be interesting to see what comes out of it. And the third age was the age of mechanics, I think. That would be this. This would be a whole different tech tier with the spinning, and we get more of the stuff, more of the in-world interactions here with all kinds of different parts. I think the drawbridge from MechWorks would end up in here. And there are more things beyond this, but they aren't even... I mean, we're just getting into the third one. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Now, one thing that I was thinking about was, as we're going along, and we have lots of things to tinker with, we started off with a bunch of plants to begin with, right? We have our farm, we set it up, we get food, we have our tree farm, but that's not all that interesting. I want to tinker with the tree farm and the potato farm. We got potatoes here, right? So what we do is we take the potatoes and the tree and we breed them. We take the potatoes and the tree and we end up with a sponge. Or some kind of potato tree bush. And then we take that and we breed it with the grass and we end up with... we do actually end up with a sponge after that. Or maybe a melon. A potato melon. We have a potato gourd. Then we take the potato gourd and we go breed it with, say, something entirely silly. Here, let's breed it with gravel. Yeah. We breed that with gravel and we end up with a more advanced bush. And then we take the gravel, and we breed the bush, the potato gravel bush, and we breed it with gold ore, and we get a gold ore berry. We get one of these because ore berries are not all that interesting to get. They're just scattered around everywhere. They're too easy, they're too slow, there's no way to increase them other than find more. It really didn't end up how I wanted. What I really want is some kind of silly thing where you can take, like, the potato and the cactus and a tree and a bush, and eventually you end up with a spiky tree with cheese logs and a potato leaves, and maybe it's also a fruit tree, so it has pistons as its fruit. I did say tinker, I did not say useful. You can make some really, really bad tools. You can make some really, really odd things. And I want to make odd things out of plants. I think this would be fun. It's one thing that I've missed in Magic Maiden too. There's nothing to play with or just do all kinds of things with. Nothing I can just tinker with for a while. I need more tinkering. I really need more things where I can combine them in different ways, or I can use them to different effects, and the results are not obvious. You have to be clever to figure out what to do with them. And maybe they all collude in such a way that you set up your tree farm with the saw here, and the tree farm automatically collects pistons for you in the end. Yeah, that's kind of odd. It's less odd than trying to breed a potato with a cactus to get sugarcane, though. Let's see, is there anything else left in my world? Yes, there is one thing left. Well, I was looking at a way to make the blocks of ender and tinkers useful, and what I did was I made a different block. It's called an ender warp. And what happens is you take this, you put it down, you grab some blocks, put it around it, because I don't want to open up GUI. I want to do this in world. So whatever blocks you have around here is whatever it's keyed to. So, whoop. And I think that the log like that is actually going to be different right now. And what you do is you put up one of these. You have two of them. Then you give it redstone power. And whoosh, it lets you warp. This is an interesting idea. It's just a few blocks, or a few ender pearls, and you make two of them. To best effect, you can put down 4 of them. And then you have a two-way teleporter. Now the range on these is pretty good. This is probably a quarter of the range. It goes out way out there. I was also looking for ways to get around quickly and to not have too much of a tech thing to do with them. Like, I don't want to have to feed them mechanical power or steam power or ender power or redstone flux or electricity or whatever ends up going into them. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Let's just give it some signal. In fact, it's not the pressure plate that it's looking for, it's just looking for redstone signal. So you could push a button and it would let you go anywhere. I think you guys are annoying. I really don't like the villager sounds. Anybody else around here? There are other things I've been looking at recently. I have been looking at other mods, looking for unique things from them, looking at things that aren't done very well. Because I really feel that this is drastically different in playstyle from a lot of the other things that are out there. And the reason I don't want to play with tech mods is that you get stuck in one spot. So if I can take some of their mechanics and make them different, you can do the same thing in the end, but if you can do it at range or at will, do it way over here instead of having to pick up a machine and move it and build a whole power system. That would be more interesting. That would be worthwhile on its own. And I don't want to rip off every single mod in existence. I'm only looking at unique things that aren't done well to begin with. Because if they're done well, then we can just use the mod, and all the better. But I don't think any mods do this right now. Yeah. I think that's it for now. Anything else? Let's take one more sweep around here and look at everything. I do kind of like the way this building came out. It's supposed to be a workshop, but I put a roof on it, put up a whole floor thing there, and it's just sort of a nice place where you can come here and work on your tools, and go modify them, and end up with whatever you have. Let's see, windmills, house. There is one more thing. I've been looking at rails as a sort of complement to the spinning mechanical structure here. And there are a mod or two that does rails decently. Actually, there's only one mod that does rails decently, and that mod requires a whole bunch of power, and it has a whole bunch of things in it that don't really belong in a rail mod. The other mod happens to do carts, and the carts take forever to build. I'm not even considering using them. So I started looking at rails as a standalone thing on their own. The problem that I see with rails are, one, it's a base building thing, and you have to put up every single block on your own. They're annoyingly tedious and difficult to put up, because they require a whole lot of resources, and you just really can't do anything with them. Yeah, that's the other thing. You can't do a whole lot. I mean, I could move items around. This is my preferred item transport method. But once I get over there and it empties, there are things you can do with this, but they aren't all that interesting. I have no idea what this is for. Probably because I wanted to signal that there was some items moving up here. Another thing is that you can't really duplicate this out there. It's a whole nother thing that you have to rebuild. And that is not something you can put in the dimensional door. This is pretty much you have what you have in the world, and you're going to spend all of your resources on the rail system to transport items. The problem is that transporting items is not all that useful if you don't have a mod that requires you to move tons of items around, or where you get all the resources in the world. So I'm going to be looking at rails for something other than roller coasters. I mean, roller coasters are nice, but when the only uses for them are roller coasters and, hey, let's put a bit of stone over here and there. Let's just leave it alone. Let's see. I think that's it from that pass. The only thing left to show in my world is this. This is a command block. Command block sets the time to 3000, and it does it on a redstone timer. Whenever the sun gets dark, it sets it up again. Usually I have a lever on this, so I can disable it. This is better than just turning the game rule to false for the daylight cycle, because I can control this. Like now, it's stuck, and it will always be night. Time set. There we go. Never gonna turn off. But once I have enough of that, then... daytime. Yeah, well, I think that's enough. I don't think this is going to be a normal episode. Got lots of talking things, got lots of game design, lots of not playing the map. This is my test world, for Pete's sake. So we're going to put this up as something different. Something separate. And I might talk about some of the other game design principles as I get into them further. We'll talk about why we have this here paired with that. Because there's a reason for this and that together, but I haven't completely fleshed it out yet. And we'll see what the future brings. So, Thank you all for watching. And there's a spinning thing below me. I have the power of gloves not matching the rest of my body.